Hey everyone, you're watching Guitar Planet Magazine online. We're about to go inside the Saint Denis Theatre here in Montreal, Canada to talk to Joe Bonamassa. You grew up in Utica, New York.
Yeah.
You're really well known for getting your early start in the music business. Around age 8 you started performing, right?
I started playing professionally when I was 12.
Okay, and you opened for B.B. King at age 12.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in that environment, though? Because I think a lot of people don't realize the sacrifices that need to be made to start a music career that young.
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a musician or if you're opening up a pawn shop or a clothing store. There's going to be sacrifices. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be risk. Nothing good in life, I believe, comes without a little bit of self-belief and some risk. There's been many moments in my life and career that it's come down to, man, we're down to our last shilling here, and I'm not sure if we can afford to carry on. It's like quit driving the van so fast, the gas is going up. It's that kind of thing. You could just barely, if we don't sell some merch tonight, we're done.
Right. Kind
of vibe. So,
because of those sacrifices, do you feel like you might have missed out on a sense of?
I don't. I look at my life with absolutely no regrets. Did I miss the high school prom? Yes. Did I miss some of the normal things that are associated with being a child and stuff like that? But I also got to see the world, and I also got to be, befriend guys like B.B. King, and like today, for example, like before I spoke to Jack Bruce on the telephone. That was one of my heroes, okay? And I spoke to Jack Bruce on the telephone. Like, if you said this 22 years ago when I started this profession, that one day you'd be talking about what songs you want to do in a concert that you're going to play with Jack Bruce, I'd be like, you're full of shit. It's not going to happen. It's like, I just wouldn't believe it. And the fact that it has been a long ride for me, and some people look at it as they're just kind of new around here, and they start doing research, and it's just a lot of miles and a lot of perseverance and a lot of sacrifice, and I'm a living, breathing testament to the fact that a little bit of hard work and a little bit of blind belief in oneself, and it will work out.
Well, let's talk about more of your heroes then, because you have a lot of influences that you've talked about that have made a major impact on your style and your playing. One name I've never heard you talk about, but your playing has always reminded me of, was Mike Bloomfield.
Oh, I love the super sessions. He was like he had the B.B. King thing going. He had like a real big Freddie King vibrato, always kind of used the front pickup, and then what's that song that they did? It's like I know Mike's playing was really revolutionary because it was just so devastatingly simple, and he was kind of like that. I wish I thought of that kind of guy. He was always putting the right notes in the right places.
The economy of notes.
Yeah, economy notes. And truth be told, there was an English guy that played the same kind of conceptually the same. His name was Paul Kossoff, and he, again, economy of notes, vibrato, sound, cleaner tone, really like a kind of like, but it was just clear and just honest, and Mike is one of those guys. You're right. You're very right. I don't really refer to Mike Bloomfield most of the times because I get down to my influences, and people get tired after the 15th or 16th guy mentioned. Oh my God, he stole from that guy too. I stole from him.
Well, I bring him up too because also what he did for blues coming into the '60s and playing. and really changing it and being one of the first white blues guitarists to really be recognized for his talent.
Right, and you know, his work with Electric Flag and you know, to me it's, you know, Bloomfield is all about East West, Paul Butterfield Blues Band, you know, backing up Dylan at Newport when they went on their little exploratory mission that didn't work out so well at the time, but it was like now it's revolutionary. Right. And the fact that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, a guy like Mike Bloomfield, he played a Telecaster, and then everybody wanted a Telecaster. He switched to a Sunburst Les Paul, everybody wanted a Sunburst Les Paul. There's something about that guy who, and then later in his career, he became a bit more like folk blues, and he had like a black Stratocaster and was singing more, you know. But truth be told, it's those pivotal records like East West and the Super Session record. You just go on fire, and he was just hitting every note just the right way, and it was a right combination of youth, experience, fire, and the passion, and the right material. And it's like that's really the stuff of legend, you know, when it comes to, because, you know, everybody play 6 strings and a piece of mahogany differently, you know.
And he was one of the first to really popularize the Les Paul along with Clapton at that time.
Yeah, but he was one of the American guys who popular, you know. Yeah. But again, he had the cleaner tone. He had the, you know. But it was like, you know, that was like, I think he used twins as opposed to Marshalls, you know, and everything else.
Well, let's talk about the blues then. You've always had a really liberal perspective about what the blues should be, and said that it needs to modernize and progress if it's going to survive.
It's just like a car.
Right.
A car has to modernize and progress. I imagine people up here in Canada really loved it when they invented 4-wheel drive. Much better for the snow than the original horseless carriage, steam engine, you know. It's the same thing with anything else. I mean, take a phone, take a camera, take a clock or anything, you know, light. You know, everything modernizes, and it doesn't, in my mind, doesn't diminish the charm of the originals. You know, it's like everybody wants a nice old gas lamp or something like that, you know, but would you want to light your entire house with 1 million gas lamps? It's like you want something more modern and, you know, efficient. And to me, it's like when talking about the blues, is I share a birthday with Robert Johnson. You're not going to find a bigger champion of the blues and traditional blues music. But I also realize that for it to survive yet another century, you have to modernize it so kids find it exciting, challenging, a little dangerous. Now, when I go, okay, what's a good example of that is this in particular. How revolutionary was that when the Willie Dixon song became this? And all of a sudden, all the kids started showing up, and they're going, "Who's Willie Dixon? Oh, here's Willie Dixon, and here's this, and here's that." And subsequently, they stumbled upon it through Zeppelin, through a Cream, through a you know, John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, or a band called Free. So at the end of the day, I'm doing nothing different than what those acts were doing in the 60s, only I was influenced more by the acts from the 60s, and now here we are 45 years later, and I'm kind of taking from those influences and doing everything from bringing Bach, Lamaz, and Greek musicians into it to full-on country. Like, you know, we've had John Hyatt and Vince Gill on the new record. So to me, it's like there is no rules, and that's the beauty of being a solo artist. You kind of do anything you want, good, bad, or otherwise.
So what do you think of when you see guys? I know a lot of people mention John Mayer to you, but do you think that's what?
I think it's great.
Yeah, I completely agree. But do you think that compromise between what John Mayer accomplishes between the mainstream and keeping with his roots is kind of what's needed? You said.
Yeah, nobody should ever apologize for being remotely successful in the music business. It's extraordinarily difficult to go and I have an idea, I have a guitar, I have a song, I need to go book a gig, and then to take it to a level like a John Mayer's taking it to. You can never begrudge a guy, whether that's your type of music or not. I particularly think he's a very good songwriter and a very good guitar player. That's just my personal opinion. And the few times I've chatted with him, he's been nice to me. So at the end of the day, what happens is that, you know, he'll throw in like a Hendrix tune. He's more kind of like a Stevie Ray Vaughan Hendrix. You know, he's got that kind of headspace. To an audience that may or may not have heard of you know, they probably have heard of Hendrix, but maybe or may not have heard Stevie Ray Vaughan. So that's good as well, you know. And then all of a sudden, it's just building blocks and kind of reintroducing, you know, a generation to music that could easily, given the right set of circumstances, almost kind of fall to the wayside, sadly.
Right.
So.
And so, do you think, without guys like John Mayer, like, is there a risk of it getting generationally lost? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's like the old storytellers. You know, it's like once the last of the old storytellers is gone, who's left to tell the story? It goes when that's gone. So you need guys like John Mayer and a guy like, you know, Derek Truxton, or a guy like, you know, Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Johnny Lang and all those guys. You know, albeit Kenny and Johnny were doing this, you know, a decade prior, and mostly in America. It never kind of went over to Europe so much. But truth be told, it's all very important stuff to continuing on the legacy of the music that we all kind of love. And I don't want this to be a Smithsonian act. You know what I mean? It's like once a year, let the blues guys in, and we'll share the night with John Philip Sousa and his gang. I don't want that. I don't think it's necessary. I think there is a market for it, and we've seen it all across the world. You know, like filling really good size halls, you know, with people that are enthused to see it.
Stylistically, you keep a lot with the, you know, the 1960s kind of British
right.
blues rock. Do you ever feel a difference in the way that you connect with fans in the UK versus North America or the rest of the world?
You know, I mean, it's really strange. When I showed up in the UK 7 years ago, I figured everybody'd have a Les Paul and Blues Breaker combo and be playing Peter Green stuff. You know, like, you know, they're doing the, you know, the Fleetwood Mac. I figured everybody'd be doing that, right? I show up there, and they're doing more of the American. The guys got the Stratocasters, and they're doing like the umpteenth version of Pride and Joy and Cold Shot and all that, and it's fun and it's cool. I'm going, wow, the English kids are like, I don't know if they're not hip to their own legacy within the blues, or they don't find it interesting anymore. And here I go, I was like going, well, this is the kind of stuff I like, and all of a sudden I kind of just caught on, and I think it was a little bit because I was the American coming back and going, you know, you guys have a really great legacy in the blues, and here's my interpretation of it. But the UK, I mean, what can you say? I mean, they really, the success that started there has really kind of blossomed out in the rest of the world, you know, to where now every place that we play looks like this, you know, and it you know, it all started in the UK and a little bit in America.
A couple of years ago, I read an interview where your collection was up to, I think, around 180.
Well, there's about 300 now.
300 now.
There's about 300 guitars at the moment. But it's a sickness. It really is a sickness, and it becomes a thing where it becomes a collecting is. I believe I'm a curator. I believe at the end of the day, all these will get passed on to somebody else. Truth be told, they'll outlive me, and it's a great hobby. It's a, you know, it's defined my whole life, and you know, guitars are what they are. You know, it's like, you know, but different strokes for different folks. You know, like some people think it's really strange that, you know, you have a bunch of guitars in your house, but I think it's actually cool. It's like a music show.
We can just do one last question then.
Yeah.
You got all this international recognition that a lot of people, you've won awards and polls of the best guitarist in the world, but you've always got this sort of blue-collar bravado, you know, working man at heart.
Right.
Is that really important to you, to stay grounded, to stay rooted?
Absolutely. I mean, this is not a birthright. People don't come to the gigs because they're supposed to. And I'm very well aware of that, because I remember starting in front of 0 people. 0. Literally nobody paid. And we're working for the door. My parents, you know, brought me up to appreciate anything that's, you know, bestowed upon you above and beyond the norm, you know. And, you know, when I look out the audience, I see a lot of people from 5 and 6 years old to 60, and we're all kind of blue collar folks, you know, and, you know, whether how successful it becomes and whatnot, truth be told is I appreciate every one of them coming to the gig.